Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Willie over at LPR Trading Group. I wanted to get into some pre-market planning that we had going on today. It was a interesting day because we gapped up quite good on the indexes and then ultimately had a nice fade day throughout the day. So I was looking at longs. I was long biased on a couple of things, and one of them in particular was DAL coming into the 200 moving average and daily supply. This is the chart that I posted, and there's a few things that we can note here. Okay, we have the 200 moving average, which is this green line up top. We have a daily supply zone right here, which is a drop-based drop type supply zone. This stock was showing strength for the past couple of months here from December. Okay, we had the opportunity for institutions to gather up some shares down here between $34 and $36 on good solid volumes. And then we started holding on to this 10 moving average. So we based out the last week here above the 10 moving average. We made a nice tight flag here, and we were gapping right at the top of this range. So I was looking for a long. I wanted to get a long into the 4250s. Okay, I expected us to test 4250, and when we get over the charting, that's exactly what we did. The other ticker that I was interested in was F. Forward. So we've come into this supply zone multiple times. We can reject again. Soon we'll find out because the market's about to open. I would like to see a break out of this zone though. And if markets want to go higher after yesterday's consolidation, F could really get some good legs going. So on F, this is what I was referencing to. This is a 15-minute chart. We have supply over here. We tested supply here. We dropped. We tested supply here yesterday. We dropped. Okay, and then we were gapping up to right here, and we ended up powering through this, and I think we made it all the way up to 2580. We'll look at that as well. So this multiple tests of supply, we eventually get a breakthrough because the more times we test supply, the weaker it gets. Okay, so that was my thoughts on the day. The other plan, CSM is a semiconductor stock. They had great earnings. And another admin here, Steve, mentioned their earnings and noted on that a bit. So we were gapping up into all-time high in supply. We've had two nice strong days, which we can look at in the chart here. And now we get a big gap up. So big money accumulated all through this range, 108 to 112. And I was looking for those shareholders to take some profits. TSM had faded multiple earnings gaps that it had previously, and that was my thesis. So if we look at it closely, up here we got supply as well as all-time highs, and we've gone up 2 solid days, and now we're gapping up 10%, okay, on good earnings. So we'll look at this as well. We'll get into these charts here and see what we can learn from them. Here's Delta Airlines that we're talking about in the pre-market plan. I did not trade this today. I missed it. I was focused on forward and TSM, and I just missed this move. We did fade off the open here. Okay, we had a pretty decent drop all the way down to 40.50. We did get a nice basing formation right here at the highs of the day, and I think what got me off of this ticker was that I didn't see a good risk to reward. Okay, these candles are a larger range candles right here in the beginning, and you know, I glanced at it. I don't have my screen set up properly because we're traveling at the moment, so I didn't have the screen space to watch this properly. But it did make the move exactly like we wanted it to. It came up to, what do you guess, 42.50 on the money, you know, a few cents over, and we rejected supply, came back, touched VWAP, and consolidated for the day. That was DAL. Now we can look at forward. So forward, like we mentioned, we have the supply we want to break through. We'll get down to the 2-minute chart here, and what do we see? Okay, off the open, we get a little drop here, and we start building higher lows. So here's our low. Here's our next higher low. We get a breakout over opening price, right? 24.66. We get a breakout. We get rejected in decent volume. Okay, so we're still figuring things out here. We're seeing if we want to come up and retest this 24.75 supply, we trap some shorts here, I'm sure. Then we get some really nice volume coming in down here for this leg up, break out of this range. First leg up, okay, in the supply, and what do? We put in a real nice inside bar here, doji, on over average volume, and then we get a really nice big volume candle. Okay, so this is on 2 minutes, we're talking 5.2 million shares, 5.1 million shares in a 2-minute candle. All right, this is powerful breakout. That's what we want to see when we're coming into this supply that need to be broken out of and through $25. We get a nice pullback. This is a good ad spot for this trade if we're trying to play this thing long. And what really got me today was the Qs at this point, the Qs and the ES, they started to get weak. And I had my conviction in this trade to get long, and what I ended up doing, I got this move, I took some nice profits, and then I looked to short it. Right? I was like, oh, the indexes are fading, maybe we can get forward, and this is where I varied from my game plan. All right, I wanted this thing long, I wanted it through 25, and I knew we could get some strength on it. It had good relative strength overall compared to the markets, but the markets got in my head, I saw things starting to fade. And I was like, I think forward we might actually get a pullback, pretty decent pullback, at least test under 25. So I got in short, and then I got in long again, and then I got stopped out, and then I got, and I over traded in this area on forward. I eventually did get a nice long up to this area again, and then got out completely. I did end the day up 2R. 2 times my risk per trade on the day, but I paid 1R in commissions today, and purely based on this just undecisive mind that I had. This was pretty easy to understand, right? The stock's strong, the markets are weak, and it just gave me contradiction. Okay, and that happens sometimes. We can be looking at too many things. I like to base things on the markets too. If the markets were strong, yes, I'm taking this thing, I'm adding, but the markets didn't do that for me, and really I paid commissions and I got chopped up. Luckily, I came out on the green side, but that's a good lesson to take. Okay, and I said, you know what? I'm trading like a jackass right now, and I need to close down my platform, and that's exactly what I did. And then we'll jump over real quick to TSM here. All right, so what did we say on TSM? Remember? Let's get this zoomed in. So this is the 5-minute. Let's look at the 2-minute. I like looking at the 2-minute, especially on the open here. What do we get? We get a really nice volume, 2.5 million almost on this first 2 minutes. So when I see that, I'm always like, okay, we just got some big buyers coming in, taking out, and retail jumping on board too. I took this long, and we get a nice rip up, and I missed my target by a few cents here. Okay, we come back down, I add on the break of 142. Then we rip up again, we don't get to my profit target, and then we come back down under 142, and I look to add again, and I made a huge mistake, and I sold my whole position right here for basically break even. I was trying to add another chunk into this trade, and I had my fingers on the wrong side of my stream deck that I use, and I ended up selling my whole position, hoping for this move. Right? I was targeting just under 143, and then I had other orders up at 144.89. And that's exactly where we went to. That's where I expected us to go, and I totally blundered it. This would have been a really, really nice trade. Okay, I was in heavy, and I think everything was showing like it wanted to get another leg higher, and sometimes you mess up your hotkeys, and you lose out on a really nice trade. I did try to take this long again up here. We were basing out right here, and I noticed right at 145 there was a big hidden seller sitting there, and we had tested it, and I said, okay, I'm taking under 144.50, and then I got long right up here at 144, 90s, right on this inside bar here. And we just never were able to break out over it, and then I got stopped out, so I took a whole 1 hour loss there. So on the day I was actually red on TSM, unfortunately, but it's part of the play. This was aggressive. This, in my mind, looking back on it, I said, okay, this is one where you take your half size risk. You're trying to buy a high day breakout. The markets are starting to turn. Not the best thing. And ultimately, we faded down, and look at that, we broke below opening price, and that turned into a pretty nice fade trade, and the markets were correlated to that. So that's what we were looking at today in the chat room on my behalf. Yeah, if you have any further questions, just reach out to us. Hit us up check us out on 𝐿PRtradinggroup.com. Okay, we're going to have a week trial of our trading service here. So if you're interested in, it's going to be $20 to try the thing out. Yeah, we'd love to have people in here who want to learn. We're going to do our best to make sure that people understand market dynamics, big picture ideas, and then how to profit on these when the opportunities present themselves. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and we will hit you up tomorrow.